Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Coming.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So,
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna,
mute
Mataji.
everyone.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, I have to mute everyone because for the recording, and I'm also going live on the Facebook. So thank you for coming. Yesterday, there were some technical issues which I saw after the class. I apologize for it. Our Facebook live was somehow blocked by Facebook yesterday. So that's why if someone was trying to see, we couldn't see. But today it should be fine. And today, anyone who wants to join should be able to join. There will be no one who will be rejected to the max capacity. Okay, thank you, Rupa Mataji, Seema Mataji, and Radhika Mataji for joining me also. Let's start with chapter 2. Om Agyanat Timirandasya Gyananjan Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinbandhu Jagatpate Kopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namastute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priyai. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So let's dive in. You all can, whenever I ask you a question, because it's a large class, you all are welcome to type the answer to us. And my admins can help me check the answers. I may not be able to get, but I will get to it at the end of the class. So let's... Chapter 2 is a very nice chapter. The chapter's name is Summary of Bhagavad Gita or Gita Saransh. This chapter is like a trailer of the whole Bhagavad Gita. You know, if there is a movie that's going to come up, there is always a trailer going around. So this Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 is like a trailer of Bhagavad Gita. The whole Bhagavad Gita, everything that is discussed is summarized here. So there are a lot of concepts, even though this is not as difficult as 13th chapter, but we can, you can be in a consciousness that now you're going to look at the trailer of what Krishna is going to speak from chapter 3 onwards in detail. We're going to talk about Jnana Yoga. We're going to talk about Sankhya Yoga. We're going to talk about Karma Kand, Sakam Karma. We're going to talk about little bit about Bhakti Yoga or Nishkam Karma Yoga. Okay. So your chat will be restricted to me, and I will be able to get to it at the end. Okay, 1 second. So let's pay our obeisances to Shri Shri Radha Govinda, for whose pleasure this whole thing is designed. And by their mercy only we can understand what is Krishna Tattva, what is Bhagavad Gita, what is Krishna consciousness about. This is what we did yesterday. Quick overview, observing the armies on the battlefield. So Dhritarashtra's inquiry was the first chapter, first verse. Dharam Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha. The key word was Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. Then Duryodhana, then 3 personalities were discussed, right? Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, and Arjuna, and their reaction to the same scene. So Duryodhana was the next. Duryodhana's fear was described in verse 2 to 11. Mahatim Chamum Vyodham. He was very astonished at the arrangement of the military phalanx by the Pandavas, which was done by Drishtadumna. And then he was analyzing his army and the army of the Pandavas. Blowing of conches by different parties was described in 12 to 19th verse. Hridyani Vradarayet is the key word. means the blowing of conch shells by Krishna and Pandavas shattered the hearts of Kauravas. Then Arjuna's observation. Arjuna tells Krishna, bring my chariot in the middle of the army, of the two armies. In verse 20 to 27, Gandivam Shamshate Hastat. Then Arjuna's reason not to fight, after he looks at the people at the other party that he has to fight against, then the real thing starts. So then he gives 4 out of 5 reasons in chapter 1, and there will be 5th reason given in chapter 2, that why he does not want to fight. So quick recap. Compassion was the reason that he gave. Krishna, my family is the object of my compassion. How can I shoot an arrow with the intention to kill them? No enjoyment was another, that even if I win this kingdom, my family will be dead and gone. Who am I going to enjoy this with? Sin, he was worried about committing the sin. Dharma Kshetra and Dharma and Nyaya Kshetra. The sin that he described was according to Nyaya Kshetra. Like, okay, the people that I have to kill are my elders, and elders should not be even given verbal fight. Forget about shooting an arrow and trying to kill them. And then the last reason he gives in chapter 1 is destruction of the family traditions, that my family traditions will be destroyed with the destruction of the elders of the family, and then women will become contaminated, then unwanted population will spring up, and from unwanted population, all the community and projects will be destroyed. No one will be happy. Ancestors will also not be offered any of oblations. And indecision today is going to be indecision, that he says to Krishna, Krishna, I know I'm a Kshatriya. I know for fact. And I know that it is my duty to fight. But now I am confused. I don't know what to do. So I'm undecided. Okay. So this is a summary of chapter 2 today. I will bring up this slide again. Krishna is going to answer each and every proposition put forward by Arjuna for not to fight. So he says compassion, and Krishna gives him knowledge of the soul. He says you're putting your compassion in the body, but actually we are not the body. So 11 to 38th verse, we are not the body. He says no enjoyment. Krishna uses the tool of karma kand. What no enjoyment? You are a Kshatriya. If you will win the kingdom, you're gonna enjoy the earthly world, earth planet. If you will lose and die on the battlefield, then you will be promoted to the heaven. So in either case, there is enjoyment. Then fear of sinful activity, Krishna gives him the knowledge of bhakti yoga or buddhi yoga. The devotional activity, there is no sin. He says, I'm undecided. And Krishna says, Vyavasatmika buddhi eke kurunandana, serve the Lord with firm determination. I will explain all this. Okay, I'm just giving you an overview. Then Sthitadhir Muni, then Arjuna asks, oh, so I have to serve you with one single-minded concentration. Then how does that person look like who's already doing it? So Sthitadhir Muni, how does a person in pure transcendental consciousness look like? What are his symptoms? How does he talk? How does he walk? And how does he sit? These are the questions he asks. Then destruction of dynasty will be in the next chapter. Arjuna says the dynasty will be destroyed. Krishna answers that question in 3rd chapter, that be a role model to prevent Varna Shankara. Okay, I like this view. That other thing is little crowded for me. This is like very focused. Compassion, Krishna uses Jnana Yoga, and this is a verse in 2nd chapter. No enjoyment, Krishna uses Karma Kand. These are the verses 31 to 37. Sinful reaction, Krishna explains Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. These are the verses 38 to 53. Destruction of dynasty, Karma Yoga. He gives knowledge about working and how by working in one's constitutional and conditional position, there is no destruction. So 18 to 26 verse in next chapter. Okay. Now this is the verse where the Bhagavad Gita takes a turning point. The turning point is that before this verse, Krishna and Arjun were talking like friends. They were talking like friends, and friend to friend talk is non-serious. But this particular verse Krishna, Arjun is going to surrender to Krishna as a uh, as a disciple. So the verse is Karpanya dosho pahato svabhava prichhami tvam dharma samudha cheta yashreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyste aham sadhi mam tvam prapannam. Now I am confused about my duty and I've lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So Krishna, Arjuna is saying that I am confused because of the weakness of my heart. He's not confused because he looked at the army of the Kauravas and the number of people, number of soldiers there were so large as compared to Pandavas, so he got scared. No. Arjun is confused because of the weakness of the heart, that because he has to fight against a very special population, which is none other than his family. I mean, we all can, for a minute, empathize with Arjuna's situation, that he actually is in a very big decision-making time of his life. So the decision, whenever a person with the devata, a person who's in the mode of goodness, or who's a devotee of Lord, is in trouble, they approach Lord. They don't approach anywhere else. So decision making is very important. Actually, we can understand a person by studying that where are they going when they are in dilemma, where are they approaching. We all need someone else to guide us at times, because we are marginal potency of Krishna. It's designed by Krishna, which I will explain in later chapters. Why do we need each other's opinion? Because it is also coming from Krishna's energy. So he's saying that I'm asking you to tell me. So there are different modes of nature: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. Now, a decision-making ability of a human being is decided by what mode is one more prominently situated in. There are so many important decisions. What college should I join? What kind of a job should I pick up? Where should I buy a house? Whom should I marry? Is this particular idea that I have in my mind for a choice of career good or not? So many, otherwise why there is something called career counseling? Why there is something called real estate business, if everyone is already decided what kind of a house they want to live in? These all things are expansions of our inability to make decisions on our own. But person who is in the mode of ignorance means darkness, means no knowledge, that person will be indecisive. So indecision is most prominent in the life. Indecision, you can't make decisions, no clear thinking, no decisive action, and always self-pity and lamentation, thinking, feeling, always in the mode of like, oh my God, my life is so downtrodden, I can't make decisions. These are all results of ignorance. And person who is in the mode of passion is indiscretion. Indiscretion means act out without deliberation, just act impulsively, no thinking before acting out. So they fail to see the consequences of the action. It's always like you do action and then there is a reaction, and then oh maybe I should not have done that way. So that is if that is the most prominent thing happening when they have to make a decision, then we should understand that mode of passion is more prominent in their personality. Person in mode of goodness is going to be introspection. Introspection means that they will think carefully, refer to logic, argument, and they will approach person who have more experience than themselves in handling the same situations in life. But the problem there is that also is limited. Why? Because their own sense of logic and argument is limited, and the people that they're approaching are also limited. They don't have the all-in-all experience of everything. So even though goodness is good, better than passion, better than ignorance. Introspection is good, but that is also limited. Then what? Then we have to go to a spiritual authority. Spiritual authority will help us make a decision in a inspirational way. There will be references from the Shastras, and the word of Shastras are final. The Shastras don't confuse anyone. Spirituality means simplicity, means light. If somebody is confusing us, then we should immediately leave them, because what is there to confuse? He's asking a simple question that I am confused because of weakness. Now I am surrendering onto you as a disciple. Please instruct me. So it has to be presented as it is. Spirit means light. So inspirational is like they will be able to refer the Shastras. So Arjuna's approach to Krishna for helping him make a decision is actually even beyond the mode of goodness, because he's approaching a spiritual authority. That tell me clearly means that I want to know from the spiritual point of view. Material point of view, I am not being helped. This system of making decision is failing now. So we must, all of us, try to introspect and think that what am I doing? And if I am not doing something which I like, then we should be open enough to change ourselves. Okay, don't get stuck and don't lock yourself in anything. So this is a changing point. He's really yearning to Krishna. He's really surrendering to Krishna from his heart. And he looks confused also, right? But Krishna looks fixed. That is the difference between a spiritual master and a disciple. A disciple can be confused and bewildered, but the spiritual master, who is in the bona fide parampara of Krishna, is fixed. They don't get moved by the bewilderment of their disciples. Okay, so now why Krishna? And how do we know that Krishna is the best authority to answer our questions? So there are different ways of gaining knowledge. One way of gaining knowledge is Prataksha Brahman. Prataksha Brahman means seeing is believing. Whatever I see is what I believe in. If I can't see it, then I don't believe in it. But there is a defect there. What is the defect? I believe what I see works when your vision is impeccably perfect. Our vision has to be very, very perfect. Then only I can say, okay, I'm believing what I'm seeing. But our vision is very imperfect. You see, I have this eyelid, right? On the eye, top of the eye, there's this lid. I have never seen my own eyelid without the help of a mirror or a camera. I've never seen. So that's so sitting right there, I can see without others' help or the help of something else. So how can I see Krishna? And I have a brain inside my head, right? But I've never seen my brain. So if I've never seen my brain, does this mean that I don't have a brain? So we have to understand that our way of acquiring knowledge by seeing is believing is so imperfect that I cannot even see my own body parts. How can I see Krishna, who is a spirit? Okay, so now Krishna is understood according to one's own surrender. Krishna is exposed according to the level I want him to expose himself. This is very nice. So let's say that somebody is driving on the highway and on their right side, this kind of a scene comes. So one can say that, okay, I see some water, I can see some clouds, I can see some skyline, maybe there are some city houses there. I can see maybe it's a time for sunrise. So the sky is lit up a little bit. So I can see all this. Okay, now I tell that person, please park your car on the curb of the road and go more near to this landscape. So they go more near, and then what do they see? They see a tree which was invisible from far away. Now park your car, go down the road and see. So then they can see little bit more definition, that tree is there. So if I request them, go more near to the tree and see what's there. So they go more near to the tree. Then they can see the features of the tree, and they can also see a parrot sitting on the tree and eating a fruit, which was all invisible from distance. So similarly, Krishna can be understood in different features. There is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam which says, Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam Brahma iti Paramatma iti Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. Just one second, I'm having some issue with this live. Sorry, I just noticed. Brahma iti Paramatma iti Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. So depending on my surrender, I can look at Krishna as just a Brahman effulgence or an impersonal energy. But if I develop a little bit better, that is called Brahman. But little bit better understanding, then I can say, okay, no, God is a person, and that person is Paramatma sitting in the heart. So that is Brahman iti, and the next level is Paramatma iti. But the highest level is Bhagavan iti. Like even higher than the Paramatma realization is realizing that Krishna is a person. And his form is described in Brahma Samhita, in Srimad Bhagavatam. Venum kalantam aravinda dalayataksham paraham asham tamasitam buddha sundarangam kandarpa koti kamaniya vishesha shobham govindam adi purusham tam aham bhajami. So Brahma is praying to Krishna. Venum kalantam means he has a flute. Venu is his flute. Aravinda Dalayataksham. Aravinda Dalayataksham means his color, the body color of the body is blackish blue, like similar to the rain cloud color of the rain cloud. It's still not going live. Oh, it's like so, and he has three bended form, and he's bedecked with a peacock feather. Govindam Adi Purusham. That Govinda is Adi Purusham. Adi means oldest. Purusham means person. Tam Aham Bhajami. So that oldest person, I surrender. Tam Aham Bhajami. I sing his glories. So Brahma is praying like this. That is the highest level. Okay, so our understanding of Krishna will actually depend on my level of surrender to Krishna. So now Krishna starts answering Arjuna's questions. First question was, write down in my chat box, what was the first proposition that Arjuna said that I'm not going to fight? What was it? And yes. Sorry. So compassion. Thank you so much. So compassion was the first one. And now Krishna is answering the question using Jnana Yoga. Krishna spends maximum time in second chapter explaining the element of compassion from verse 11 to verse 39. So he spends about 30 verses. Maximum. He has not spent so much time again in Bhagavad Gita explaining one tattva. So Krishna says, this is one example. Tehino asmin yatha dehe kamaram yavanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namohyati. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body, from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. So Krishna is saying that Dehino asmin yatha dehe means Dehino asmin yatha dehe means dehe means body. Dehino asmin means in this body. In the body, there is a element, a soul which looks at the body. So the body has a soul which looks at the body, go through what? Kamaram yavanam jara. Kamaram means boyhood, yavanam means young age, and jara means old age. So the soul sitting inside the body sees the body going through these changes, kamaram, yavanam, jara. Then what happens? Tatha means thereafter. Deha anta. Deha anta means end of the body. When the body ends, deha ends. Then what happens? Praptir. The soul gets another body. Dhiras tatra namoyati. The self-realized soul. Dhira means sober. Such a sober person. Na mohyati. Mohyati means bewildered. Na mohyati means not bewildered. So the soul which is sitting in the body sees the body going through these changes. Kamaram yavanam jara. But after jara, after old age, when the body is no more able to hold the soul, then the soul leaves the body and gets another body. And the sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So this body, we all go through these changes in our life, but the soul remains the same. Same. And at the end, if someone is fortunate enough to reach the old age in today's age, then the body becomes incapable to hold the soul anymore. The soul leaves the body and then acquires another body. So he's saying your object of compassion is on the body. You are loving the body of your grandfather. You're thinking you're going to kill Bhishma, you're going to kill the soul, but no, you're going to kill the body of your grandfather. The soul will go on. So that doesn't mean that we should, kill and slaughter people or animals. It doesn't mean that. It does not. Because the soul is put inside the body of any living entity by the arrangement of Krishna. We cannot disturb that. We cannot take leverage of the Shastras and say that because I'm not killing the soul, let me go and kill the body. That is sinful, because Krishna's arrangement will decide when the soul has to leave. If I check it artificially, then I am becoming entangled. I have to pay back. So we have to be very careful in understanding the Shastras, that don't do upadharma. Upadharma means using the Shastras to validate one's sinful activity. Let's not do that. Okay. So this is one such example I'm giving you. And then he goes on to describe the properties of the soul. Says, okay, first is you're not the body, you're the soul. And now listen to me what the soul is. It's a very beautiful, how Krishna builds this compassion in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. Nainam chiddanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledyanti apo, na shoshati maritaha. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor can it be burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by wind. So these were all the, in Mahabharata, the weapons were made of all these things. So Krishna is saying that the soul proper is not touched by anything. Cannot be touched by any kind of fire, cannot be burned by fire, cannot be moistened by water, or cannot be withered by wind. The soul is not a thing of this matter, because all these things are matter. Weapon is made of matter, fire is a matter, water is a matter, wind is a matter. So, but the soul is spirit, is not touched. It's like oil and water together. The oil will never be mixing with the water, even though it stays on the surface of the water, but it will never become one with the water. So the soul lives in the body, but it doesn't become one with the body anytime, nor it was ever. Okay. So then the second reason, what did Arjuna give to fight, not to fight? What was the second reason? Please write down. I am looking at it. So what was the second reason? No enjoyment. So he said, okay, thank you so much. No enjoyment. Yes. So Arjuna is telling Krishna, no enjoyment. My family members will be dead and gone. How am I going to enjoy it? Alone? Because our sense of enjoyment is in the company of someone else, right? My family, my society, my friends, somebody else. There's got to be. Alone, sitting in the jungle, for how long a person can enjoy? It's not possible for a long time. So, and this is a long-term decision, right? The fight. So Krishna is telling him there's going to be enjoyment anyway, because if you die on the battlefield, you will be promoted to the heavenly planets and you will enjoy the heavenly kingdom. The Siddhas, the Charanas, the inhabitants of the upper planetary system. But if you win the war, then you will enjoy the whole earthly planet. So there is enjoyment. So Krishna is using the tool of karma kand. Karma kand means, literal meaning of the word karma kand is, I do an activity and I get a result. So let's say that somebody is performing a sacrifice for begetting a very good house or very good wealth. So they are performing a sacrifice for gaining something for their own enjoyment. There is no God there. But Krishna is still using it. He's saying, okay, even if you still have to work, there is a myth, right? Krishna consciousness is for people who have nothing else to do. It's a myth. It's a myth. It is for the people who are retired, who have done all their responsibilities. And here is Arjun, who is a warrior, who is a family man, who is in the middle of a war field. And he is trying to become Krishna conscious. Actually, Krishna consciousness is the beginning of one's activity. Before that, no one is active. They're just doing sense gratification. Okay, so this is the verse that no enjoyment. In the verses, verse 31 to 37, all of them, but I have chosen 37. Hato va prapyasi swargam. Hato va prapyasi swargam means if you killed, hato means hatya means death. Then prapyasi swargam, you will achieve swarg. Jitva va bhokshasi mahim. If you live, jitva means you live on, then you will conquer. Bhokshasi means you will enjoy. Mahim, earthly planets. Tasmat uttishta kaunteya. Tasmat means therefore, uttishta, get up. O son of Kunti. Yuddhaya krita nishchaya. Fight with determination. Nishchaya means determination. So you die. Hato va prapyasi swargam. Achieve the swarga, the upper planetary systems, heavenly planets. Jitva va bhokshashi mahim. You live on, you achieve the earthly planet. Tasmat. Therefore, in both the cases, uttishta kaunteya. Get up. Get up, O son of Kunti. Yuddhaya krita nishchaya, and fight with determination. So Krishna consciousness does not mean inactivity. Krishna consciousness means activity with Krishna in the center of one's life. Lot of activity. Nobody is inactive. 24 hours are less for us. We keep thinking that, my God, if I can do more, I can do more, I can do more. O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly planet. Therefore, get up and fight with determination. So myth is that no activity, and here reality is Krishna is saying get up and fight. He's not saying, yeah, you're not the body, you're the soul. Soul has no need for a kingdom. Soul has no need for any recognition. Soul is not Kshatriya, Vaishya, Brahmana or Shudra. So no. Krishna is saying, no. Those all things are fine, but your level is not there yet. You have to fight. And Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying it. We cannot put our own speculation in it. Then we are not really reading Bhagavad Gita. Then we are reading our own Gita. If you want to read Bhagavad Gita, then we have to understand what Krishna is saying, okay? Avacha vadams cha bahun vadishyanti tatha hitaha nindas tava samarthyam tato dukkha ataram no kim. He's saying, what are you going to do about it? You're saying, I'm going to go in the forest, but what are you going to do about this? Avacha vadams cha bahun. If you're going to leave this, battlefield and go sit in the forest, what are you going to? Don't think these people, Duryodhan and everyone else, the Kauravas are going to think that, oh, Arjuna went away, he left the battlefield. Then thank God. Thank God. Otherwise, it would have been so difficult to fight Arjuna. Don't think they're going to say that. And don't think that they're going to say that, thank you so much, Arjuna, for not putting up a fight and for saving our lives. Thank you so much, Arjuna. Our soldiers were not killed in the battle. No. What they will say, your enemies will describe you in many unkind words. What they will say is that is a coward. So, and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? So, person who is really a Kshatriya, insult is very, very piercing. They would rather die than be insulted. And Krishna is again bringing him back to the level of his consciousness. Arjuna is again going to run, trying to run away. Again giving reasons. I'm going to forest. I'm going to meditate. I'm not going to fight. Oh my God, I don't want anything. I will just eat fruits and drink water in the jungle. And Krishna is saying, no. You are a Kshatriya. Become established in your own consciousness. You can't sustain all that for long. That is why we need a guru. My mind will give me so many other, thoughts. Don't do like this. Run away from this. But a spiritual master will bring it to our vision again and again. No, but this is not going to work for you in the long run. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So do something which is going to work, because you're also important. Okay. So what was the number 3 reason that Arjuna gave that I'm not going to fight? What is the, please type, I'm reading. So yes, thank you so much. Sin. He said, no, it's sinful. It's sinful to kill the elders. So Krishna answers in verse 38 to 53. Neha bhikrama nashto asti pratyavo na vidyate. Swalpam api asa dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. This is why a spiritual master is needed. He's saying that neha bhikrama nasho asti means in devotional service, because I am ordering you to fight. So anything that we do for Krishna under the supervision of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, not under the supervision of my mind or imagination or a dream that I had last night. No, no, no. Under the supervision of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Guru means spiritual master, Sadhu means saintly people, Shastra means scriptures. So whatever I am thinking of doing for Krishna has to be validated by these three things. So here Krishna is telling directly to Arjuna, fight. So Neha Vikramo Nasho Asti means somebody who's doing a devotional service onto me is never destroyed. Nasho, na asho asti. Onto me, if you're doing a service, you'll never be destroyed. Pratyavo na vidyate. You never, no sin will incur if you do something for me, Arjuna. On the contrary, what happens? Swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Means swalpa means little bit. Api asya dharmasya. A little bit devotional service done to me. Trayate mahato bhayat. Trayate means very big. Mahato bhayat. Very big fear. If somebody does a little bit service to Krishna, Krishna saves that person from a very big fear. In a devotee's life, the fear is that I will forget Krishna. I will become an animal again, and animal cannot think of Krishna. That is the fear a devotee has. And there are examples Srila Prabhupada gives from the Shastras. So this example is, there was a mice or rat or hamster, whatever you want to say, was very, very keen on eating cherries. So whenever he saw something red, so he thought, okay, maybe it's a cherry or a strawberry. So one day, this particular mice ended up in altar of Krishna, altar of the deities. Then what happened? There was this lamp which was burning on the altar of the deities. And the lamp was wavering. So it was going to put off. Now this Mr. Rat thinks that this wavering is, the shape is like a strawberry or a cherry. So he thinks that this is a cherry that I'm going to eat. So what happens? He goes and he jumps on that wavering lamp and he gets destroyed. So he gets burnt. But in the process, the wavering lamp regains its strength to burn again. Krishna takes it that this particular living entity has sacrificed his life in saving my worship. So Krishna gives him liberation. Hanuman, Lord Hanuman, we can say that when he went to Lanka and to give a message of Lord Rama to Mother Sita, he was caught, and then Ravana wanted to execute him, but his advisors told him that actually it's against the law to execute a messenger. So you cannot kill a messenger. Okay, chalo, let's put his tail on fire. So that was a punishment given to Lord Hanuman. Chalo, we cannot kill him, so let's put his tail on fire. So Lord Hanuman got angry. So he actually burned the whole Lanka. So there are 6 kind of aggressors described in Bhagavad Gita, first chapter, verse number 36. There are 6 kinds of aggressor, and one of them is one who puts fire to another property, have to be fought against. So we can say that Lord Hanuman, we can say, non-devotee can say that, why are you killing entire Lanka? Your fight was with Ravana, kill his room only. Now why are you killing entire Lanka? It's sin to put fire on someone else, but no, he's celebrated. Why is he celebrated? Because he's doing it in the service of Lord Rama. It's not sinful. It's not sinful. It's devotional service. Or we can say Vibhishan. Vibhishan was the brother of Ravana. It is sin to go and talk about their own family to someone else. Not only talk about, but also reveal secrets and tell the enemy of your brother that how to kill my brother. It's sinful. But he's celebrated. Why? Because he's serving Krishna. He's serving Lord Rama over there. So that is why it is very important that in the service to Krishna, under the shelter of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, there is no sin. There is no sin. So he's saying, there's no sin. I'm telling you to fight. I'm Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then what are you talking about? This will be tomorrow. Destruction of family dynasty. He gives a reason. And Krishna will talk about it tomorrow in verse third chapter, verse 24. If I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds will be put into ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. He's saying that destruction of dynasty does not happen by not fighting. Destruction of dynasty happens by denying to do one's own duty. So it is your duty to fight. It's not that Varna Shankara or unwanted population will spring up because you are fighting and killing. It will spring up if you do not fight, which is your duty as a Kshatriya. And the fifth and final reason he gives is indecision. That now I am undecided. Karpanya dosho bhato svabhava. We started the class from that verse, right? So Krishna answers, oh, I should have given you chance to write. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad. So Krishna answers, you are undecided. Why? Because your intelligence is multifaceted. Do one thing. Do this. He gives answer in verse 2, chapter 2, verse 41. Vyavasatmika buddhir eke he kuru nandana pahushakahi anantascha bodhyavo avyavasayinam. Vyavasatmika buddhi means you are one single-minded attention. There is no second in that mind. Single-minded intelligence. Eke he kuru nandana. The aim is only one. When one is serving Krishna, the aim is only one, not two. What is the aim? Of Krishna's happiness, how Krishna can be happy. Bahushakahi anantasya. Bahushakahi anantasya bodhya avyasayinam means whose intelligence is chopped off. I want to do this also, this also, this also, this also. Who's chopped off is undecided. They cannot make a decision because there is no Krishna in their life. When Arjuna is a very big warrior. Arjuna was under training with Dronacharya. He was a young boy and he was asked by Dronacharya to shoot an arrow on the eye of a bird, right? So when Dronacharya asked Arjuna, what do you see? Arjuna said, I see the eye of the bird. He did not say, I see the beak, I see the head, I see the feather, I see the color, I see the legs. He said, I just see the eye of the bird. So he was already very concentrated. So one has to become Vyavasatmika buddhir. Eke he kuru nandana. How can I make Krishna happy at the cost of my own unhappiness or discomfort? Not unhappiness, discomfort. There is no unhappiness in Krishna consciousness. But one may be a little uncomfortable from outward materialistic point of view. You see, Srila Prabhupada was living in very filthy environment in America, in the middle of the hippies, trying to preach, and he is a saint, the sannyasi. But it was uncomfortable, right? And then in old age, traveling for 28 days on a cargo ship is uncomfortable. But Vyavasatmika buddhi, eke he kurunandana, the aim was only one. And what was the aim? The aim was to serve Krishna. And for that, take up all the discomforts. So very high level, such a person is situated in transcendental consciousness. Then Arjuna asks, what is this symptom? So he asks, Sthitadhir Muni. Krishna tells him, na, become a Sthitadhir Muni. Means, Sthita means steady. Dhir means sober. Muni means yogi or intelligent person. So become a steady and sober and intelligent devotee. So Arjuna immediately asked him 4 questions. Oh Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk? So these are 4 questions. Okay, I will bring up. These are the 4 questions that Arjuna asked. That what are the symptoms? Krishna answers in 55th verse in 2nd chapter. How does that person talk who is Krishna conscious? Krishna answers verse number 56 to 57. How does that person sit? Krishna answers 58 to 63rd verse. How does that person walk around in this world? How does this person sit around in this world whose consciousness is merged in you, Krishna? So walking is the last part, so 64 to 72. So I have chosen one slide to explain each. Okay, so first question is, what are the symptoms of a Sthitadhir Muni? And Krishna explains in 55th verse, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Prajahati Yada Kaman, Sarvan Partha Manogatan, Atmani Eva Atmana Tushtha, Sthita Pragnasta Duchyate. So nice. These verses have so much meaning. So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the blessed Lord said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of sense desire which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Prajahati Yada Kaman means gives up all desires which are coming from the mind. Oh, maybe I can be happy if I taste this. Maybe I can be happy if I go to this place. Maybe I can be happy if I'm with this person. Maybe I can be happy if I go to this country. Maybe I can be happy if I do this promotion in the job. So many concoctions. Krishna says satisfaction is the function in the mind. It is inside, not outside. Don't outsource your happiness. We are outsourcing our happiness. Can you make me happy? Can my position make me happy? Can this make me da 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 blah and a blah and a blah and a blah? No, no, no. Siddhartha Muni is a person who finds satisfaction in the self alone. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is saying it. Then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So, like Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was a very exalted devotee of Narasimha Dev, of Krishna. He was 5-year-old, and his life was under execution every single day. His own father, Hiranyakashipu, was behind his own son's life. 5-year-old child's life, small child's life. Every day he was sending these poisonous snakes, these ghastly-looking people with deadly weapons. Sometimes he was thrown off from the hill. Sometimes he was put in front of the elephants so that he can be trampled. Sometimes he was put in the fire, but he was fixed. He never prayed to Krishna, Krishna save me. He was fixed. We should not copy. There are 2 words, Anukaran and Anusharan. Anukaran means copying. I can dress like that. I am so exalted. Nothing can bother me. I am so, no. That's not going to lead us to the goal. Anusharan, take shelter of that devotee. Pray to Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, you're such a exalted devotee of Krishna. Can you please give me a drop of the nectar that you're tasting? Don't try to sit in the fire. We will get burned. Prahlad Maharaj was not burned. Okay, and also Srila Prabhupada. If Srila Prabhupada is not Siddhartha Muni, it was not possible. It was not possible for him to start single-handedly without even 1 rupee in hand to a worldwide movement. And that to sitting in a public park, and that to sitting in a foreign country, not even understanding their language properly. This is Srila Prabhupada sitting in Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan. Prabhupada once said when he returned to Vrindavan, when I was in Western world, whole time I was not feeling well. Whole time? The entire time that he was outside of Vrindavan, he was not feeling well. But he said, I have to take up this service to Krishna. So we owe so much. If Prabhupada had not written this, we owe so much to the saintly people in our life. Okay, now the other question he asked was, how does he talk? So Krishna answers in verse 56. Dukheshva anudvigna manaha sukheshu vigataspera vita raga bhaya krodha stita dhir muni uchyate. One who is not disturbed in spite of 3-fold miseries, who is not elated when there is happiness, who is free from attachment, fear, anger, is called a sage of steady mind. So this will come again and again. It may be a little difficult to understand. 3-fold miseries. What is 3-fold miseries? 3-fold miseries is one misery arising from one's own body and mind. This is called adhyatmika. Another misery is arising from someone else, some misunderstanding from someone else, or something, my boss is not happy with me, even though I'm trying my best. My family is not respecting me. So from someone else, that is called Adi Bhautika. That's another misery. And the last one is called Adi Devika, which is from higher authorities. Like it's so hot, or there's no storm, or there's a tornado, or there's a flood, or there's raining, or it didn't rain. So these are not in our hands. So Krishna is saying one who is not disturbed despite of 3-fold misery, who is not elated when there is happiness. I personally find it fascinating, because first part is okay, that when there is a disturbance, we tell each other that tolerate, will go with time. But Krishna is saying tolerate the happiness also. Tolerate, because that will also go. Who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, vita, raga, bhaya, krodha, is called the sage of steady mind. Okay, so that person does not talk like an ordinary person when they are faced with this situation in life. So we should take shelter of such a person. The next question he asks is, how does that person sit? Krishna answers in verse 58 to 63. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within its shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. So such as Sthitadir Muni goes around in the world to gather things to serve Krishna. Like a tortoise comes out of the shell, gathers what it has to gather, and then goes back. Like that, the Sthitadir Muni, elevated saintly person, goes around in the world, gets what is relevant to serve Krishna, then comes back and gets situated. They don't depend on an external object to become happy. It's a very high level Krishna consciousness can bring us. And the last one is this is also in the how does he sit. Now this can be a study of research by any of the psychologists or psychiatrists sitting in this class, if there is any, or anyone actually. This is an 8-fold process which is described in second chapter, verse 62 and 63, that why one commits a sinful activity. So why one commits? Arjuna is going to ask again in third chapter, Balad Anicham, like what is it that forces one to do even if one is not desiring to do something sinful. So dhyate vishyan punsaha sangasta sanjayate. Sangasta sanjayate. Sangasta tesho pajayate. Sangasta sanjayate kama. Kama krodhat vijayate. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammohat smriti vibhrishitam. Smriti vibhrishite buddhi nasho. Buddhi nashat pranashayati. Let's understand. Contemplating. Dhyate. Dhyate means dhyan, means thinking or contemplating. Vishyan punsaha. Vishya. Giving the thought or giving the mind a thought of its object. Vishya, pumsaha sangas. When I am associating myself with the thought of my object of desire, while contemplating the objects or senses, tesho upajayate sangat. A person develops attachment. It begins with the thought, and then one becomes attached to the idea. And from attachment, lust develops. From lust, anger develops. So lust in the scriptures is defined in a very different way than maybe the Oxford definition, Oxford Dictionary definition. Lust is defined in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhupada describes the meaning of the word lust or kama is Atma Indriya Tripti Vancha Taro Nam Kam, Krishna Indriya Tripti Vancha Taro Nam Prem. That any activity which I want to do, Atma Indriya, for my own satisfaction. Atma means self here, Indriya means my senses. Any activity which I'm doing to satisfy myself is calm. So I have 10 saris. I have no need for 11th, but I see it somewhere, I want it. I just want it. So that's lust. New restaurant has opened up around the block. I want to go and taste whatever food that they have. So tongue wants to associate with the food, right? That is also lust. Lust is not just the union of two opposite genders. No. The spiritual dictionary has a broader meaning. So in that way, everything that one is doing without Krishna consciousness is nothing but lust. So lust is never satisfied. You cannot satisfy. When it is not satisfied, then what happens? Anger develops. So here, while contemplating the objects of senses, person develops attachment for them. From attachment, lust develops. From lust, anger develops. There's another verse, one devotee is singing in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Kamadhinam katina kalita palita durinidesha tesham jata mai na karuna na kripa no pashanti. So means kamadhinam, oh Krishna, I have tried to serve my own senses of my family, my society, my nation. Kamadhinam katina kalita palita. I have joined day and night. I have worked so hard that I have made day and night one. But neither anyone is satisfied, nor do they have any mercy on me. And there is no gratitude. No satisfaction, no mercy, no gratitude. Why? Because lust is never satisfied. Here, the example that I have shown here is, well, let's say a boy looks at a young girl or a young girl looks at a boy, either one. Then just looks, contemplation starts that we should be together. Okay, from that contemplation of the idea, attachment develops. This is one example. There could be many other examples. And from the attachment, lust develops, that we want to be together. Now, these two people who did not even know each other come together. And then anger develops. They start fighting with each other. They did not even know each other. Now there are fights. Sometimes the fights are so severe that some person can be actually harmed because the lust is never satisfied. So anger develops. Then what happens in anger develops? From anger, complete delusion arises. When one is angry, Radhanath Maharaj says anger is one word less than danger. So if you put D in front of anger, it becomes a danger. So when anger develops, one person forgets who is who. What is my relation with this particular person? They forget. They raise hand, or they try to hurt other person because of delusion of the memory. Delusion of the memory, when the memory is bewildered, forget. The only thing they know is what they want. Okay, memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. Intelligence gives us the power to discriminate what to do, what not to do. But here, memory is lost, intelligence is also lost. And when the intelligence is lost, one commits sinful activity and falls down from their standard. So this is the slide. When contemplating the objects of senses, one develops attachment for it. This is 8-step process. From attachment, lust develops. Lust is never satisfied, gives rise to anger. Anger gives rise to delusion. Delusion gives rise to bewilderment of memory. Bewilderment of memory gives rise to loss of intelligence. And loss of intelligence makes one fall down and commit a sinful activity and become entangled. Okay, now the last thing he asks is, how does this Sthita Dhir Muni walk? So that was the last part of the chapter, 64 to 72 verse. But a person free from all attachment and aversion, able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom, can obtain complete mercy of the Lord. So that person walks around the world serving Krishna. There is nothing in the world for them to enjoy for their own self. Nothing. See, generally a person does so much endeavor in their life, sometimes extreme endeavors. They pass very difficult exams also and get to the high post also. But in all senses, they are trying to satisfy their own self, how they can be happy. But a devotee of Krishna is also undertaking all these risks. But the object of enjoyment is Krishna, not them, Krishna. So that is how this person moves around in the world. Okay, so what we did today, this is the overview of the chapter. It's a big chapter. That Arjuna gives reason in first chapter, compassion. Krishna, I'm not gonna fight. This is my family's object of my compassion. Krishna gives him knowledge of the soul in verse 11 to 30 in chapter 2. We are not the body. Then Arjuna says, no enjoyment, no family member. Who will I enjoy with this empty kingdom? Krishna says, there is enjoyment. You either get heavenly planet or you get the whole kingdom to enjoy. That karma kand. He uses the tool of karma kand. Arjuna says, this is sinful. I'm fearful of sinful activities. Krishna gives him knowledge of bhakti yoga or buddhi yoga. That devotional activity, no sin. Like I gave example of Lord Hanuman, Vibhishan, that Solpamapiyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. There is no sin in committing Krishna. And I'm sorry, in serving Krishna, but the service has to be bona fide and authorized. Okay, I cannot think in my head, oh, last night I had a dream that I have to serve Krishna by sacrificing goat in the fire. No. Be very careful, okay? Don't do upadharma, then you go to hell, not Krishna. Indecision. So he says, I'm undecided. And Krishna says, Vyavasatmika buddhi eke hai kurunandana. Why are you undecided? Because your intelligence is chopped. You want too many things. Just want me. Just serve me with firm determination. Everything will come together. Then Krishna says, Arjuna says, how does that person look like who's Vyavasatmika buddhi? And then Krishna, and how does a person looks like means symptoms. How does that person talk? How does that person sit? How does this person walk? So 4 questions. Krishna answers. 54th verse is a question. 55 to 72 are answers. Person in pure transcendental consciousness or Sthita Dhir Muni. Then one last reason he puts Krishna, my dynasty will be destroyed because so many things will happen. Krishna will answer tomorrow between verse 18 to 26 in 3rd chapter. Be a role model to prevent Varna Shankara. Okay, so this is for today. And I wanted to show you a trailer. Let me just pull it up. Trailer of a movie which was made on Srila Prabhupada. Let me just pull it up and I'm going to show you, and then we can take some questions for some time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay, enjoy. The movie name is Hare Krishna, the movement, the mantra, the movement, and the Swami who started it all. This was made by Srila Prabhupada's disciple. This is a trailer.
my spiritual master is calling.
He said that he would like to go to America.
I said, are you crazy? The old man, you are going to die.
Someone told you the story, you wouldn't believe it.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
He's 70 years old, he has no money, he's starting an effort, and it turns into an international movement.
Everyone is thinking, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm European, I'm Australian, but I'm not this body. I am spirit soul.
He looked like the Prime Minister of the galaxy.
Prabhupada was quite unlike any teacher we'd ever known. There was no gap between what he spoke and what he lived.
The Vedic scriptures gave some sort of backbone to my life.
People were joining left and right. Everywhere people went, there were Hare Krishnas.
Many would consider members of the Hare Krishna sect to be dangerous religious fanatics, but the Krishnas say they're simply misunderstood.
People would kidnap us and try to deprogram us.
The more he got attacked, the more energized he became. Prabhupada loved a good fight.
He was actually bringing some kind of ray of light to the right place.
Regardless of race, of religion, of nationality, we are all brothers and sisters.
If I see this person, this soul, struggling just like I'm struggling in my body, I have a reason to love you. That's deep.
His words carry so much power. It's a full expression of his heart that comes through.
The perfection of this life is to understand oneself. This is the beginning.
So nice, right? So I have one poll for you. Please answer my question only. I'm going to try today and tomorrow. If the response is good, then tomorrow I will bring out more. Okay, you can see my screen. What was Arjuna undecided about? Whether to kill his kinsmen or not, whether the fight was sinful or not, whether it was his duty to fight, all of the above. My admins, you can see the screen, right?
Yes, Mataji. We can see.
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you. Okay, few more seconds. Hare Krishna. So 47% of the class answered. Okay, 60%. Okay, I'm going to end the polling. 200 people answered, 202. Okay, I will share the results with all of you. So 80% of the class, 166 people are saying all of the above, which is the correct answer. He was undecided about everything. Whether to kill his kinsmen or not, but so kinsmen is like family and friends. Whether the fighting was sinful or not, whether it was his duty to fight or not. So he was undecided, right? And sinful activity was also one of the reasons he gave. So the answer is all of the above. Okay, thank you so much for participating. Yesterday's recording, somehow we are not able to retrieve. So once it's retrieved, I promise we will share it. Please be patient, but we will send you a link of YouTube channel today where you can subscribe, and there are recordings of chapter 1 from other batches. If you can watch that for now, and once yesterday's recording becomes available, we'll share it. So we can take up for some questions. Okay, this name is very hard for me to pronounce. SSSYGH SRS TDYG. Yes, please unmute. Erika Pille Mataji. Hare Krishna. Mataji, you're muted again. Please unmute. And if this SSS person also wants to unmute. Erika Bille Mataji, you can unmute. Jiva Lakshmi Mataji, please unmute. You have a question? Yes,
Yes,
Jiva Lakshmi.
Mataji, I have a question. Not regarding the chapter, but yesterday's quiz, chapter 1 quiz, I opened that link and the first question for chapter 1 appeared. And then after I select the answer, there is a check option. So I clicked on check. But after that, nothing happened. There was a arrow, pointing to the right side on the top. When I click that, it's moving to the next chapter, second chapter. But I'm not able
Mataji, I know that. So we have troubleshooted all the steps. So today you go today. I know. We know that it was there. So the team sat down today and it's all refreshed. So I'm sorry, but there was some technical issue, which I don't know, but it's been solved. So try again today. Just an hour back, Prabhu called me. Now, Prabhu called me and said that it's working now. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Hi, Krishna. Archana Bedarkar Mataji. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I have got two questions. One question first is, what is Krishna consciousness that you kept mentioning during the lecture? And the second question I wanted to ask you, you mentioned that to seek knowledge, we need to seek Guru. So Arjun's elder siblings had no confusion about whether to go in the war or not. So why didn't he seek knowledge, or why didn't he seek the counsel from his own elder siblings rather than Krishna?
So first question is, what is Krishna consciousness? So Krishna consciousness means that we are living a life which is full of consciousness about Krishna. Awareness is another word for consciousness. Like right now I am living a life which I am aware that I am this body, and I am a mother, and I have to work, and I have to bring money, I have to bring food, I have to have a house. I'm conscious of these things, aware of these things, right, Mataji? So Krishna consciousness means I become aware that actually I am a part and parcel of Krishna. Where am I working for him? So that is in nutshell what Krishna consciousness is about. And Krishna includes everything. Don't think that becoming Krishna consciousness means I have to get excluded from my family or my other interests in life. They may change, but Krishna means everything. So that is the nutshell meaning. And the other reason is, I said that in introduction, Srila Prabhupada says that all of them are devotees. They were not bewildered. Yudhishthira Maharaj, Nakul Sahadev, Bhima, they were not bewildered because they are devotees. They understood Krishna wants this fight. But Arjuna was put in bewilderment by Krishna because Krishna wanted to speak. Krishna is only going to speak to his devotees. In 9th chapter, we will discuss this more in confidential knowledge, that let's say, Mataji, that you are a very good cook. Let's say the cooking that you do is amazing, that your friends adore, your family like looks forward, and you are so much accepted for your talent. But there is one person who's very, very envious of you. Very, very. The minute they see you and they see your cooking, they start finding fault. So will you be comfortable to reveal your secrets of cooking to that person? Mataji, you are muted. You can unmute. Who was asking this question? Was it Vedant Kamath?
Hare Krishna Mataji, can you hear me?
Yeah, 1 second, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So I don't know what Mataji, what happened. I was talking. Anyway, so Krishna, so we're not going to reveal our secrets to a person who's envious of us. So similarly, Krishna wants to talk. Krishna wants to tell Bhagavad Gita, but he's choosing his disciple, his devotee who is non-envious. That is why he chose, like, okay, Arjuna, I'm going to put you in this spell of bewilderment so that I can talk. Yes, Vedant Kamath Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. My question is, if body is completely different from soul, like soul and body is like oil and water, which cannot get one, then how can I feel pain when my finger is burnt or when I get cuts? After all, I'm a soul who is controlling this body with Krishna's wish. Then why I feel that pain if I am not the body?
Because I'm not fixed in my, because I'm not Siddha Dhir Muni. Prahlad Maharaj was not feeling it. He was not feeling it. Because I'm not Siddha Dhir Muni, because it is a theory for me that I'm not a body, I'm a soul. I am not realized, I'm not living it. I have not realized it. That is why. Once we realize it, the person will be steady in both happiness, distress. I described it today, right? So we have to be very fixed with our own level of spiritual elevation. I am not like Prahlad Maharaj. Throw me from the top of a hill and I'm going to fall down on the rocky bottom ground and then I'll be fine. It's not. Okay, it depends on my level of consciousness and elevation in my Krishna consciousness.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Erika Pillai, Mataji, you have been trying for a long time. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. My question was, if the soul enters a new body each time it leaves one, when does it enter the heavenly planets or the world?
That depends. So we don't really have to die to enter a new body. That's happening every moment. You know, if I tell you, can you go back to the body of a 3-year-old girl? Can you do that? Mataji, you're muted. Please unmute.
Sorry.
So if I tell you, okay, can you go back to the body when you were 3-year-old, that body, can you do that now?
No.
Okay, but any stretch of imagination, can you do that? Or can you go back to the body when you were a baby in the lap of your mother?
It's hard to imagine.
Right, because we are changing body every moment. Final change happens at death, but the transmigration is happening now also. We don't really have to die. A person who is situated can understand. Heavenly planets or hellish planet depends on what I'm doing here. If my activities, so what is that verse in 8th chapter? Karanam guna sangha asya shad ashad janma yonishu. Karanam guna sangha. Karanam means activity. Guna, in association with what mode of nature I'm doing, what activity. Sangha asya shad ashad janma yonishu. That decides what yoni I'm going to get next. If my activity is just to do ghastly warfare, kill animals, kill people, kill robber, I am not going to the heavenly planets because I'm associating myself with the mode of ignorance, which we will study in later chapters. So I am responsible for what kind of a body I'm going to get next, depending on what activity am I doing right now. Like for example, if there is a small child, okay, the child is not going to school. All the thing the child wants to do is sit down and play. We know the future is dark, right, Mataji?
Yes.
So like that, if I am not following the Shastras, the future is very dark. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Mitesh Vaidya Prabhu. My co-host, can you please look at the chats if there are any questions there? Mitesh Vaidya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
In chapter 2, you explained about the soul is changing the body, and lastly, he leaves the body and enters the new body. So, one person takes the sannyas and gets the samadhi and leaves the body, and one person out of pain do the suicide and leaves the body, the soul. What is the difference, and is it right? As per my understanding, it is wrong, but how we can say it is wrong, the suicide?
It is definitely wrong because we are checking the progress of the soul. I said that is upadharma, that somebody committing suicide because they are, we in human body, only humans do that. Animals don't do that. Human, because there is intelligence. Now we can choose. The body is developed, intelligence is developed. So what happens? Somebody thinks that I will check my own progress. The soul is supposed to be in particular body according to the arrangement of nature and Krishna for a certain amount of time. We cannot check it. So if somebody is committing suicide, it means it's checking the order of Krishna. The law of Krishna is broken. So that person doesn't get body. Person who's committing suicide becomes a ghost for millions of years. They hover around. They think that I'm committing suicide. Prabhupada, it's because this life is so painful and after I commit suicide, I will be happy. On the contrary, this is called Jnana Chakshusha. Look at with the vision of knowledge. On the contrary, the person who checks the progress of soul in that body gets a ghostly body for millions of years. They are condemned. they don't get a body, they're very, very distressful. So it's definitely wrong because they have now violated the law of Krishna. Krishna allowed that soul to be in that body for a certain amount of time. A sannyasi, when they leave the body or they live, it's the same thing. Because when they're living in the body, they're serving Krishna, and when they leave the body, they're serving Krishna. They don't commit suicide. They wait for Krishna to allow them to be merged and to go to spiritual world and serve him there, or they stay in the material world and serve him here. Same thing. Okay, Prabhu.
Dhanyawad Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Samiksha Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Samiksha and then Archana Bedarkar Mataji.
Mataji, the chat has no questions.
Oh, I think they were, Mataji. I was periodically looking. Can you scroll up? There were so many.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Thank you. Samiksha Mataji, you're unmuted, but I'm not able to hear you. Archana Bedarkar Mataji, please go ahead. You're unmuted.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Earlier I was the one who asked the 2 questions about Krishna consciousness, but I was muted from the admin side, so I couldn't respond to your answer. And the setting of the chat is so that the person is allowed only to send direct message to you. It is not a general chat, so that is the reason why maybe the other person is not able to see the chat.
No, they are able to see. They can see.
And one more thing that you mentioned about the rat or hamster, that without his knowledge, when he jumped in the fire, and Krishna thought that it was service to him, and he gave him moksha or mukti. Without the mouse or rat even trying and not being in the human body also, breaking that chain of what I know, that moksha is only possible from the human body. But I think this is an exception, that a rat is also given moksha by Krishna without even he trying, and be human body keep trying and keep praying and spend so much of time, and still moksha is evasive to us. So can you please explain how is it possible?
That's Krishna's will. Krishna is not dependent on any arrangement. First verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, first chapter, first canto, first chapter, first verse. So, Tene Brahm Abhigyana Swarat, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And the verse describes the properties of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the character. And one character that is described is Abhigyana Swarat. Means he's completely independent. He's not dependent on my understanding of his I have a discrimination in my head that I have to do this to this and this not to this. Krishna is completely independent. He's Abhigyana Swarat. He can decide what he wants to do. He's not dependent on my menial. He's not a servant or subservient to my understanding of who he is. Okay, he's Abhigyana Swarat. There are so many other examples. This Putana, she came to kill Krishna, poisoning her body with a poison, thinking that Krishna will drink her milk and Krishna will die, right? Krishna, she came like that. Mataji, you keep unmuting. Oh, you are unmuted, right?
Yes.
So Krishna sucked her milk, sucked her life, and gave her a position of Mother Yashoda. Why? Because he thought that this woman came as my mother. She gave me milk. She's my mother. So Krishna gave her a position of Mother Yashoda in spiritual world. That's Krishna's will. That's Krishna's desire. We cannot dictate Krishna. Why are you doing it? We can just pray and praise Krishna. You're so magnanimous that you did this. Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Samiksha Mataji, you're still unmuted, but if you can talk. Neha Jindal Mataji, please go ahead.
Krishna Mataji. Mataji, I am from Gurgaon. Mataji, this is related to the question, suicide question, because this has been often, I've been also thinking about this only, that since a person who commits suicide, he goes against the power of Krishna, against the will of Krishna, but Krishna knows everything, and Krishna is actually, he decides everything. So how can I understand that the person who commits suicide is going against the power of Krishna? Because it is all destined by Krishna. So like,
it is not destined by Krishna. Man is the architect of their destiny. In human form of body. In animal form of body, it is destined. But in human form of body, it is not. There's an element of free will. There's an element of free will, as what in 15th chapter we will discuss. What is it that is keeping me here and not letting me go to Krishna? Desire. Okay, the answer is desire. I have a free will to desire. I have a free will right now, whether I want to come to this class and listen about Krishna or whether I want to watch a movie. I have a choice. Human being has a choice what they want to do. And that is why there is so many varieties in this world, because there are so many desires. Mataji. So we have a choice, and that is why it's Shad-Asad Janma Yonishu. Whatever mode I myself associate with myself too, that kind of a body I'm gonna get. Okay, so it's not so easy. We have to take accountability. We can say, okay, 2 people got married. Now one person is not behaving well. That is desire of Krishna, that person is not behaving well. Is it true? Other person has to take accountability, right?
Yes, Mataji.
So like that, I am here, I am separated from Krishna. I have to take accountability. Relationship means 2, God and me, 2. I have to see what is my role in this relationship with Krishna. And if I put everything on Krishna's head, then that's not fair, right? That's not fair.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you,
Mataji. Nehru Mataji. And then Ashuka. Nehru Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, when we stop Telugu class?
What? What? I'm sorry, I didn't understand. What did you say?
Mataji, when will stop Telugu class?
Telugu class is happening 6 a.m., 3 p.m., 7 p.m. You have to go to the website and register for Telugu class. Okay, Ashuka Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah. I just want to know, if somebody starts the bhakti very late or gets into Krishna consciousness very late in life, he's done all his deeds before, he was not aware, and he gets very late in life, what happens if it's left incomplete?
That is going to be discussed in 4th and 6th chapter, Mataji. Arjuna asked the same question. Is the destiny of such a person is equal to a riven cloud? You know how the clouds are on the sky. He says somebody starts it and it doesn't complete. Then is it like a riven cloud? Some cloud is going in the sky and then one portion of it gets cut off and goes on the side. Is it like that it will be lost? Krishna says, no, no, no. Whatever you do, I will preserve it. And from next birth, we'll start from there where you left off.
So then it is sure that it will be rebirth in a human form only?
Yes, not only that, it is also sure that either the birth is going to be in a human body, number 1, and also it is going to be either in the family of a very pious people, or in a very rich people, or in the family of a devotee. So not only human birth, but also the 3 destinations are assured. But it doesn't really matter if somebody starts on late. It really matters the quality. Quality is more important than the quantity of service. Khadvanga Maharaj was one devotee. He asked demigods, I want to know when is my moment of death comes, because I want to think of Krishna. So he was told, Maharaj, you have 1 moment left. So he was 1 moment away from his death. He thought of Krishna, he went back. So it depends on how much sincere the effort is. It really doesn't depend. Somebody may be trying to become Krishna conscious for 50 years. Somebody is trying to become Krishna conscious for 5 days. That 5 days is more valuable sometimes than 50 years, depending on my sincerity.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Vedant Kamat, I'm trying to unmute you. You're Krishna Balram. You please unmute yourself. Yes. And then Shweta Mataji. Yes, Vedant Kamat.
Ma'am, you talked about suicide, that people who commit suicide will go to hell and all. But what about people who die due to terror attack, like 26/11?
Then the terrorists will go to the hell.
People will go to heaven.
I don't know where they will go, but they will definitely not have bad destination. They will actually I know, because Bhagavatam says
before time, no.
Then they have to come back to the same body again, and and complete their term. If somebody else checked, let's say somebody is eating meat, right? They're killing the animal untimely. The animal was not supposed to die at that time, but the animal is now killed because this person wanted to put this meat inside their mouth. So the person who's eating the meat is definitely going to help, but the animal is coming back in the same body to complete its term of whatever time was there in that body remaining. Okay. Okay, Shilpaja Mataji, and then Shweta Divakar Mataji. Shilpa, yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Mataji, I have 2 questions. One is that my husband has a transferable job, so we are going to be shifted into 3 months. Okay, and my question is that wherever we go, we don't get any association of devotees. That is, it may be weekly, any association of ISKCON devotees. So we are now, at present, we are in Somnath. Here there is no association. We don't get anything, or there is no center at all. ISKCON center. Okay. So whatever I get is just like online. From wherever I get, I try getting it. So my question is that how can we expect in this condition to get association, and how can we progress without getting a teacher, a spiritual master? What will be our progress?
Thank you for being sincere. You're very sincere, and you are seeking. So it's not a common desire to have association with the devotees everywhere they go. So first is we have to pray to Krishna. Please put me in a situation where I have association. Plus, you can be an association for others. There's something called Bhakti Vriksha. Bhakti Vinod Thakur Prabhupada described this concept that if someone is not a devotee around you, then you make them a devotee. You learn Krishna consciousness here, and then you start and you welcome people and invite them in your house once a week, make prasadam, read a verse from Bhagavad Gita, teach them how to chant Hare Krishna, and then slowly Krishna will himself manifest and the magic will happen. You have to allow Krishna magic to happen in your life. It will happen. Maybe you're not getting association because Krishna wants you to start it. Okay, so there's nothing called unhappiness in Krishna consciousness. COVID became such a time of realization for so many of us, right? This had to happen so that this can happen. COVID had to happen so this can happen. We can meet, right, Mataji? And slowly you will get. Krishna never leaves spiritual desires unfulfilled. If one is desiring something for Krishna, Krishna makes sure that gets fulfilled. The sincerity has to be there. So I will also pray for you. Mataji, who was asking this question? That I don't know who it was. Shweta Divakar, Mataji, please go ahead.
Namaste, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Mataji, my question is the career what we are choosing to lead a life. If it has to be Krishna centric, then what? See, basically I am an engineer. So how can I make my career as Krishna centric? Or if I have to do something, some business of my own, how can I make it Krishna centric? How? So I just want to know about that.
Very nice, practical question. So many ways. First is that you have to make your own consciousness, like wherever you're going. Let's say you're working, right? You're working, so that means your memory is acting.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, you have to think about Krishna there, that Krishna, you have given me this memory and intelligence. Thank you so much. I'm able to work. So that becomes Krishna centric. You're thinking about it, remembering Krishna. And then at the end, when you have a job, when you have a weekend, instead of going here and there, think like, I'm going to go to temple and I'm going to bring the flowers and I'm going to attend the aarti and I'm going to listen to the class and I'm going to eat prasadam with everyone. That is Krishna centric. Okay. And then whenever there is a chance, you can give prasadam to your colleagues. You may not be able to preach them. They may not be ready, but you can always bake some cookies or make some laddus, offer to Krishna, give them. So Krishna centric, everybody is eating, eating from restaurant, ordering chai, tea, coffee, so much order. Now you take. So many ways are there, and slowly it will become more prominent. I'm actually inviting one devotee on Sunday who's a vascular surgeon in America. And he is a very, very good devotee. So he's going to share his realizations as how he has made his vascular surgery Krishna centric.
Wow.
Okay.
So it's
Okay,
like
Hare
that.
Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Samiksha Mataji. And then Smita Mataji. Hi Krishna, I'm so happy to see you. Samiksha Mataji, please go ahead.
Can you hear
And
me now?
yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mataji. So all the time that you were talking about the Gita, I had like a second track in my mind, correlating how does this apply to real life, right? Like
What eating?
Correlating how this applies to real life.
Uh-huh.
How does all this wisdom apply to what we go through in real life? Right?
How does the teachings of Bhagavad Gita apply to real life? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. So then Arjuna had these 5 doubts in his mind on how should I proceed with the work, my duty that I'm supposed to do. I think everyone faces these kind of doubts, right? So it would be really nice to understand from you how all these wisdom translates to real life or translates to...
Actually, I'm going to just edit your question a little bit if you allow me. The real life begins when one starts Krishna consciousness. Before that is a dreamlike life. So we really start living a fulfilling life. Right now we are living a life which is maybe giving us some sort of happiness and satisfaction in some material way, or maybe some mental satisfaction, or maybe some intellectual satisfaction. But Krishna consciousness adds us 4th level of satisfaction, which is called spiritual satisfaction. Okay, so really the life begins when one starts chanting Hare Krishna and starts to see what they are. Right now I'm looking at myself as a body and a product of matter, and my whole life is centered around this kind of a consciousness. Every single word in Bhagavad Gita is a live wire. It's a live current. It actually applies to every single moment of what we are living. Arjuna is giving a reason of compassion. Now, these are the barriers actually for us to go to Krishna. Whatever Arjuna is saying, compassion, sinful activity, fear, no enjoyment, indecision, all these things are barriers for us too. Why am I not going to Krishna if I really study myself? Because I am attached to so many things and I have a fear that if I go to Krishna, all these things I have to leave. Right, Mataji?
Mm-hmm.
Who was asking?
Yes.
Now then Krishna, people don't come to spirituality. Why? Because they think that they have to give up, and giving up is hard for a conditioned soul. Now Krishna is trying. Krishna says you're not the body or the soul in Bhagavad Gita. In Srimad Bhagavatam there is a pastime where Brahma steals Krishna's friends, 10th canto.
Mm-hmm.
And now Krishna becomes the stolen boys and animals, so that the mothers in Vrindavan don't have to feel separation from their children.
Mm-hmm.
Brahma steals to test whether Krishna is God or not, his friends and animals. Krishna expands himself into these boys and they go home in the evening as if nothing happened. And these mothers and fathers and cows are even more attached to their children. They're more attached than they were before because they are now direct expansion of Krishna. So when we become Krishna conscious, I look at myself as a part and parcel of Krishna, and I also look at other person as part and parcel of Krishna. I look at my child as property of Krishna given to me to take care on behalf of Krishna. Let me do it in the best possible way. So, okay, it's the other way is the other people think that we have to give up. Here it is, we serve properly in each and every relation that we have. We understand the importance of people around us, devotees around us. So many things, we become thankful. Okay, so many things are there, Mataji. Actually, I should ask you at the end of this course, Mataji. So how are you applying it?
Okay. Thank you.
Smita Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mataji.
My question now is little different. My 6 years granddaughter didn't allow me to hear with the headphone on. She wanted to listen to what you are saying. And then she was asking me about the Krishna consciousness and why her grandfather must have taken the rebirth and all sorts of. At the age of 6, how should I answer her? She wants to learn Gita and then know what is God and where it's. So it is little difficult at my level to make her understand.
We have kids classes going on now.
But she's 6 years. She will not sit.
Five and above. Oh, no. There is so much interaction. Those children don't move. We are getting 1,000 children joined yesterday. Prabhu called me a few hours ago. He said 1,000 children came. Because there's so much activity. They're all putting their drawings up. They're putting their realizations
Tomorrow
up.
she's shifting to another place. I'll try the next class. Let me try.
But Mataji, you can make a story for her that Krishna is your friend, Krishna is in your heart. This is what we do for 6-year-old. They can understand by stories, I guess. But her answers are valid. So please don't invalidate saying that she's young and you are too young to understand. No. Soul is old. She's not too young. Krishna will give her intelligence. So
yeah, I can feel that soul is different. That soul is definitely different. She says, I will meditate and see the God inside me, and all she talks.
Okay, then you have to give her chanting beads. There's special bead bags for small children. But yes, Mataji, the best way is to show them the slides of same chapters in the cartoon way. We have made them in a cartoon way for children in our classes.
So I can get on site. I can get on ISKCON site.
YouTube. Yes, or you message me and I'll share the link.
Okay, I'll message.
Hare Krishna. Mridula Jai Krishnan. Hi Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I just want, you told about, that consciousness and developing that consciousness. By just chanting, merely chanting Hare Krishna, is that consciousness going to come within us? Or is it something, and I really like the way you said that, you think that your child is Krishna, gift, and that's how you see it, and that's how it's like a seva towards Krishna. I really don't get how am I going to develop that consciousness within me. I mean, I am an ardent devotee. I pray every day, but does it mean that Krishna lives within me?
So how do you develop the consciousness? By sound vibration. Yes, by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yes, because chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is Golokera Premadhana Hari Nam Sankirtana. It is coming from the Goloka Vrindavan. Like right now, we are changing our consciousness by talking to each other with the help of sound vibration, right, Mataji?
Right.
I don't know which part of the world you are in, and you don't know which part of the world I am in, but we are still associating with the sound vibration. I cannot even see you, but I can hear you.
Correct.
Right? So sound vibration is very powerful because it connects and it changes the consciousness. So when we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Srila Prabhupada explains that it is beyond the spheres of mental, intellectual, and speculative layers of mind. So it is beyond those layers, and because it is situated in the spiritual sphere of life.
Right.
When we chant it, you can feel anyone who's chanting. So I have Seema Arjun Mataji, Rupa Mataji, Radhika Mataji. Mataji, can share your realization. Were you chanting Hare Krishna before you came to the Understand Gita in 18 days? Rupa Mataji.
No, Mataji, I am here I've been attending these classes since June, and I was chanting Vishnu Sahasranama and other things, but Hare Krishna Mahamantra started in June.
So how is it going for you? Be honest.
Great, Mataji. I want to chant more and more actually. It's been really, I enjoy doing it. I love chanting the name.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Radhika.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yeah. It has been a great experience because after chanting, I started chanting only after joining the class, and I always used to have this fear, subconscious fear. I don't know, I couldn't define. I'm not scared, but I always had fear. But ever since I started chanting, it has some kind of effect because I don't have fear at all. It's gone. So I don't know where I explain, but I'm no more having that fear. So I think these are things one has to experience for themselves. So chanting is the best powerful prayer which we've learned from childhood, and thank you so much for giving that to us.
Thank you so much for accepting it. Seema Arjun Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah, I joined the class in October, and before that I was not chanting, even though I was a very spiritual person. But as soon as I attended the class, I started chanting, and I think it's a very good feeling. It makes me more closer to God, more closer to Krishna, and there are things which you start seeing more clear when you start chanting Hare Krishna. And I don't want to stop chanting. Wherever I go, I take my beads and I do as many rounds I can. it's a very good feeling. That's all I can
Very
say.
nice. Thank you. So Mataji, Mridula Mataji, we are not paid for this. Okay. Actually, we are making adjustments in our life to do this.
Correct.
So none of those are promotional comments from any one of us. The real thing.
No. Right. So what is the recommendation? No, again, I said I have been doing Lalita Sahasranama, chanting, praying, and everything, but I've never chanted Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Is there a particular time that you have to do? Is there any, but like for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or and what is that we need to chant? Is just Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare? Is that enough?
Yes, so Hare Krishna, Krishna. So we have a bead bag. We chant on the beads.
Okay.
Right. And then we use the middle finger and the thumb. We can chant at any time of the day, sitting in any position, shower or no shower, sitting, walking or sitting, doesn't matter. What really matters is I am chanting and hearing. This is meditation, chanting and hearing, no mind, chanting, hearing. And we chant with the middle finger and the, so we hold the bead like this, like this one. And then chant the whole mantra on one beat. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then go to the next beat. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Not like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, and then Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Don't split it. Okay. And then 108 is one round. So these are, I have 108 beads. Prabhupada gave prescription 16 multiplied by 108. But if you can start with one round, that's fine. It takes about 5 to 7 minutes every day.
Okay. Right.
5 to 7 minutes we can get to Krishna.
Okay. And I'm sorry to ask you one more question. Where do I get this bead? Is it ISKCON?
Mangalore, we have it. Yeah, we are going to show you the, 1 second. So ISKCON Mangaluru, this is our website. We have been sharing this in the WhatsApp group. So if you go to purchase books, here you can see Mataji, you go here.
Yes.
So if you buy this package, Self-Science of Self-Realization, Perfect Question, Perfect Answer, Bhagavad Gita as it is, and you get Japa beads. So this price includes shipping anywhere in the country.
Okay.
And you get all these things. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Ashuka Prabhu.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Mataji. This is my second question. I'm sorry to trouble you again. I am actually a gynecologist. So I just wanted to ask some clarifications. There are sometimes what happens is sometimes the pregnancy goes on fine, it's well and good. Sometimes the pregnancy finishes at the early stage. Sometimes the pregnancy, there is of intrauterine fetal death at an advanced stage. How can I relate this? When there may be no medical issues, maybe suddenly things happen and we are also sometimes in a shock. Sometimes patient is diabetic, sometimes it's hypertensive. Okay, understand that we monitor. But at times we are also bewildered how this all happened. 2 days before she came for checkup, 2 days later we find this such a situation. Can I somewhere relate it with the Krishna consciousness, and can I in a way help me to how to help the patient to get the counseling the patient?
Oh,
so even sometimes we cannot understand how it's all happening.
Yes, thank you for your sincerity. The complexities of material world are very, very entangling. But sometimes we may never know the reason, and actually we really don't know the reason many times. But Mataji, two part of your question. One is that how do you explain it to yourself, and another is how do you explain it to your patient. They're two different things. Okay, for yourself, because you are a caretaker, right? So you cannot absorb the grief that, even though you may feel it, but you cannot live with it and absorb it. So for yourself, you have to elevate your consciousness to understanding that this was a lifespan given to this particular body in any way or fashion. You cannot check it because it was not in anyone's hand. Okay, and then you have to become fixed. So I am a pediatrician in America, and once I was interviewing for cardiology fellowship in pediatric cardiology. So after the interview, they told me to go and attend conference in the evening. Okay, so in the evening, the case, you know how we have case conferences, the discussion, I still remember. And I decided I don't want to do this. So there was this mother who had twin pregnancy. And then I think you can understand there was a twin-to-twin transfusion going on.
Correct.
So
TTS.
the one the twin that was healthy had hypoplastic left heart. So he's incompatible with life. But that twin was a parasite on the healthy normal twin. Okay, so the doctors were discussing what to do because this particular child who has a heart which is incompatible with life is now living at the cost of a healthy fetus. So the physician who was presenting said that maybe we can go inside the uterus of the mother, go in the heart of the child who has the hypoplastic left heart, inject potassium chloride, cause
Yeah.
My God, my God, I'm not doing this. I am not doing this program. This is too hard. So hard. This is mother. Now they can't deliver also, right? Now the mother has to live with one dead fetus, one living fetus. So, but now they're also bewildered, sitting in front of 20 physicians and discussing. So you are also going through the steps. So I can relate to you. My heart goes for you. But for you, the thing is that you have to be fixed and become a Sthita Deen Muni by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That will make us understand our own life also. That why am I suffering? Why am I facing all these things? What did I do to end up with this kind of a situation after all? But for the patient, the mother who has lost the child, we have to allow her to grieve. This is a silent loss. This is a very big thing in the society across the world, that people come and tell such a mother, oh, you have another living child. Oh, you can be pregnant one more time. Oh, this was going to be detrimental for your life. Oh, we don't validate her grief. What really, before we become Krishna conscious, let's become a good human being. And how? By listening to her, by listening that, yes, it sucks. Yes, you were expecting a life with a child who's going to be there and you were having dreams. Now everything is shattered. Yes, I am validating. So I think just being available. Grief counseling is a big thing in ISKCON. We don't, tell them Shastras right away. We sit with the devotee and let them grieve. Why can't they grieve? And then when she's ready, then slowly you have to build up. It's not like it's not like ये श्रीमद् भागवतम है, ये ले लो, ठीक है, ये चैंटिंग बैग है, ये ले लो और बैठ जाओ घर में. No, we need each other.
Yeah.
Okay, so for you it's different. For her is for mother and her family.
Thank you so much. Dandavat pranam, Mother. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, there is a question in the chat. So the question is that I am a non-vegetarian. Shall I become a devotee of Krishna? Absolutely, yes. Mataji, we can stop recording. I'm sorry, I didn't notice you've been recording for long. Seema Mataji.
Okay, Mataji, I'll stop.
Thank you. Yes, because Prabhupada made all these